What up, though? My afro. All right, so you read the title. I said what I said. What is hair? Something else. I should have cut it up, but I'm not going to do. Listen, let's get some music before I explain myself. I got my Lou Rawls going on. You'll never find. Need some music before I get into this. I got some Santa Cruz organic lemonade. Stuff is delicious. Gonna sip on that. Gonna try to break this down where everybody can get a I don't know, get a grip. I might need to get a grip. Yeah, that's nice. All right, so this is not our war. I was listening to an excerpt on some type of news feed that made it to YouTube, and this African American woman was confronted by some news guy, and they were on a panel. And she said, white people are the most dangerous people on the planet. And he was like, we're the most dangerous people on the planet? He was like, well, look at Rwanda is like the rape capital of, and there goes my monetization. He's like, it's the rape capital of the world. And then he was talking about some other incidents. And it's just like, what? America has been at war for the last 235 or more years. Look at the destabilization of the Middle East and how many millions of people they killed there. Let's go all the way back to the slavery days, 20 million people off the Ivory Coast. And then let's go ahead and dip into, what actually happened to Africa. Let's just go in one country, Nigeria, where 15 million people were killed by the Dutch. Then let's just head on over there to let's just look at the diseases that the Europeans bring over to the Americas. One being the Black Plague that started with rats and mosquitoes and killed 70 million people back then. Then we could just, look at the Indians that were all over the Americas and look at how many of them were just slaughtered to where there's now only 2 million American Indians. Naturally American Indians, only 2 million of them. There were millions of them. Let's just look at the conquistadors who slaughtered like 87 million of them. I mean, this place was literally littered with Indians. The conquistadors wiped them out to almost extinction. And listen, they wiped them out so much that the people who are Latinos actually think that they're white because they're mixed with white people, but they're not. They're not white. They're more black than white, but they think that they're white. It's just like, okay, well, your people were dark skinned like me. And then let's go on to Australia and look at how many people were wiped out there, dark skinned people, to where the Aborigine isn't the original. They're not even known as like the original Australian. You look up original Australian people, you're going to see the white man. It's just like, no, the Aborigines were the original people there, wiped out, like millions of them wiped out. And then you can just go all over the world wherever white people took over, divided and conquered. It's just millions on top of millions. It's in the billions. And you want to bring up Rwanda? Rwanda. Not even 1 million people died in the Rwanda incidents, and that's not making it good. It's just like, but let's face the facts, white people. Everywhere you've gone, you've conquered, and you've killed, murdered, raped, and done every senseless act that you can, and you haven't stopped. I mean, look at what the Romans did. I mean, good grief. Just, man, come on. You haven't stopped. Uh, Even in some places, the people were wiped out totally. Like they've gone, like these people were extinct in the Amazon jungle. Those people were wiped out by your diseases. 20 million of them gone, to where we think the Amazon jungle wasn't even inhabited. We think that there's these little tribes that run around there, and those people were there for, hundreds of years, and it was just there. No, that place was teeming with people, and they were all wiped out by diseases from the Europeans. So let's get a grip. Let's get a grip when we're talking about the white people and how many people they've killed. And now we're looking at the beginning of, hopefully not, but World War III. And the Chinese might be next. Listen, the Chinese have teamed up with the Russians. We all know this. We've known this ever since the Union, and they would never come to any of the Union meetings. They were just like, we're not coming to your meetings. You got Chinese, the Russians, North Korea, and Iran or something like that. Yeah, Iran. They're all like, no, screw you. We don't want nothing to do with you. And, pretty much saying that, you are the enemies to, the other parts of the world, pretty much. And we were like, okay, that's what you want to do, fine. But nonetheless, we still trade with these people. But you guys want to be at odds with that's fine. Now we got this war that popped up, and there's no surprise there, except to some people going, why Kiev? And there's all kind of reasons why they're going into, they need to reach the capital of Kiev. I mean, there's political reasons. There's reasons that from president's promises to the Russians a long time ago. There's sanction reasons that we're not even all the way clear on. Of course, there's espionage, and there's stuff that the only CIA knows, and all this other stuff to start these wars. And of course, there's resources. One of the resources is water, because the people in Kiev, or wherever that is, they had a dam, and they blocked off that dam. They built that dam, blocked off that water that was going into a certain part of Russia, and they needed that water to keep going in there. And they said, hey, you need to undam that water so we can have it keep flowing in the air. And they were just like, no, we're not going to do it. And so, of course, Mother Russia, being big as bad as they are, is like, okay, we're just going to, we had enough. We're going to come in and, take it from you. So one of the reasons is water, believe it or not. You would think, with 3/4 of the planet covered with water, then why are we fighting over water? Well, for one, all water is not drinkable. We know this. A lot of it is salinized salt water, and some of it is fresh water, but even some of that you can't drink. Not unless it's, purified and all this other stuff that you have to do to it. So, you got that problem. Plus, water that's actually reachable, and then water that you can actually bring to your wherever that you need it, and then the cost of that, so on and so forth. Nonetheless, but one of the reasons is water. Like I said, other reasons is political reasons that someone was trying to explain to me yesterday, and I didn't fully understand it. But of course, they're smarter than me, and they, really did understand it. But it reaches all the way back to when I was actually in the U.S. Army. And the reason why I'm saying that we should stay out of it is because at one time, when I was in the U.S. Army, is when we went to war with Iraq, or not Iraq, Saddam Hussein. So, and it was right when I was about to get out too. So one of the reasons that we went over there was a lie, because they had weapons of mass destruction. Then we found out that, no, it was really over the oil. We went over there just to invade him and take the oil. We're actually the ones who set him up. The CIA actually set him up and his regime. And we also know that the reason why they were invading the other country is because of the resources. It's because of the oil. And they owed Saddam Hussein a lot of money. And he was like, I'm going to invade you and come over there and take what's mine. And a lot of that had nothing to do with America. So we're seeing this same thing being played out over and over again, where America just decides, you know what, I'm going to get in on this. And I'm going to tell you another big reason why they do this is because they want to deploy their weapons. America spent $560 billion on weapons. That's what they spent on weapons. We have more aircraft than anyone else. We have more aircraft carriers than anyone else. You think they're just going to let them sit in the water? You think they're not going to take an opportunity to blow stuff up? These are just boys and their toys, and they're a bunch of warmongers. And they're like, no, we're going to go ahead and deploy these weapons and see what they do. We want to see what, that MiG-29 and that Sukhoi, can do up against this, F-22 Raptor or this, F-35B that lands like an AV Harrier. We want to see what they can do. And they're finding out. They want to see what their Russian ships can do against the American ships. And this is just like a big video game to them. Of course, with the loss of life, but it's just like a big video game to them. And they'll blow each other up at our expenses, and it has nothing to do with us, especially with the continent of African and the country. A lot of countries are not involved in this. Freaking Mexico, Brazil, and a bunch of other countries has nothing to do with this. Hey, what's going on, broski? Has nothing to do with this. We're like, we don't. The African American people are looking like, wait, we don't. It's not what we want. You even have the Russian people, and look what Russia did. Russia is sending out information saying that the Russian people are in support of going into, Kiev. The Russian people are so much against this war, it's not even funny. Heck, they're practically brothers. They speak the same language. They're the same people. It's just like China and Taiwan. It's just, you guys are pretty much the same damn people. But watch that's going to pop off too. See these little, and also a lot of these incidents are over territory. If Russia gives up, that territory and they join the Union, well, now America is, within striking distance of Russia, like easy target. Like if we set up a military over there, it's all over. It's one of the biggest reasons why these countries, the U.S. and Russia have difficulty, going to war and stuff like that. It's because we're not close to each other. Now, even though hypersonic missiles have taken care of some of that, for one, they're wildly expensive. But nonetheless, the Russians and Chinese have hypersonic missiles. The Americans do not. So nonetheless, when the UN is looking at, okay, we're going to do something about them invading, and just like, yeah, but this is Russia we're talking about. Unless you're going to do something about those hypersonic missiles, which you don't have an answer to at this point, I suggest you not do anything. They're sending soldiers over there, but sending soldiers over there, over to Russia is, to me, not really doing anything about it. It's pretty much showing support to the people who they're fighting against and saying, hey, we support you because it's part of the UN, it's part of the treaty and all this other stuff. But it's not saying we're going to go over there and start blowing up Russian people. It's like, no, we're going to give you supplies to show you that we support you, because once this is all over, we want our part of the deal. But we're not going to go over there. There's not going to be a bunch of Latinos, African American, Indians, and all kind of other nationalities going to start blowing up Russian people. Like, no, like we, and I'm telling anybody who's black, I know you're part of the military, but I don't know, this might be a good time for you to dip out, because if you go over there and you get caught, listen, they're not going to have any mercy on you. And one reason why I know this is because, like I said, I was in during wartime, and there were some black people caught by, the Iraqians or whoever they were, and they were they were treated terribly. So I just tell you for your own personal benefit, brothers and sisters, y'all go over there, y'all start shooting at them. If they catch you, they're gonna treat you a lot worse than they're gonna treat any white person, because America is white. Let's not get it twisted. There are 40 million African Americans here. There are 245 white people. Okay, there are 60 million, and those numbers have actually gone up. And there are 60 million Latinos. There are 2 million Indians, as in Native American Indians. I don't know how many Chinese there are here and other nationalities, but I'm just saying, America is white. So, you go over there and you start slinging your gun thinking you're going to be backed by the American flag. Nah. There's a good chance they'll leave you and you're going to be mistreated. So you're going to be in a world of hurt if you think G.I. Joe is going to come crashing through the door to save your black ass. The answer is going to be absolutely not. Because you are what they call expendable. And let's get this straight. During, what was it, World War, or was it the Korean War? The colored troops weren't even allowed to have weapons. And they were told to lead the squad. They were leading the squads with sticks and literally stones. They would not let the colored troops have weapons to defend themselves. This actually happened. I'm telling you, you are cannon fodder. And all of you who think you have a certain rank and your rank needs to be respected, it's not. Look what they did to Colin Powell. They set him up for failure. They set Colin Powell up for failure. And he was a 5-star general. Who are you? What, you got your little sergeant's badge or your little captain? You're nobody. You're a nobody to them. They will stick you out there and let you get hit by a mortar round and then give your family some flag and say, oh, we feel... No, they did it to you on purpose. They will MK Ultra you in a heartbeat. They'll Manchurian candidate you in a millisecond. You are cannon fodder. Listen, World War II, remember what they did at Pearl Harbor? And everybody thought the president knew that the Japanese were flying into Pearl Harbor. He knew it. There's no way your radar missed that. There's just no way. He let those people die. And then when you start looking at every other war that we've been into, you're like, these people know that these wars are going to happen. They know they're going to happen. These people are expendable. Look at 9/11. And how the president sat there when 9/11 was going down. Where was the plane that was supposed to be in Pennsylvania? Where's the airplane that... Where's the missile that hit? What's going on? Where's the missile that hit? Where's the airplane that hit the Pentagon? What happened to that airplane? Where's the missile? Where's the missile that? None of it made sense. It made no sense whatsoever. There's supposed to be a plane in Pennsylvania that's supposed to be investigated. Plane was never found. They did it to themselves. They killed all those people just for a fake war, for fake reasons that were never ever proven. They blew up people downtown New York. Children. There was a whole floor dedicated to babysitting children while the parents worked. Dead. It's the same thing the Romans been doing. I'm telling you, this is not your war. For those of you people who are dedicated to America, be dedicated to America in a different way. But don't be so dedicated to America that you're blind. This is not our war. We have nothing to do with this. These are the same people that are still raping your country, which is Africa. They're still raping your home country. Yeah, they're heartless. They're still raping Africa with all the. Listen, even if you go and look at what has happened in Africa recently, especially with the recent state of affairs and all the people who spoke out against the big C that came out, you notice that all those people are dead. They're all gone. All those leaders who spoke out against them are all gone. Why did they try to set up, inoculation over there in South Africa, and then the South Africans came out and said, nope, you're not doing it here because we know what this is. Then they tried to commercialize it and have South African people actually come out and say, yeah, it's okay to go ahead and get this. But we all know that this is the same place and the same people who started the AIDS virus. They did it the same way. They told them it was an inoculation, and it wasn't. Started by the same people who are over there robbing the diamond mines, the Dutch. I'm telling you, it's not your war. Y'all need to stay out of this. Y'all need to live. You can serve America. You can serve the people that you love in a different way. But some of you soldiers, if you go over there and pull the trigger, you're going to be held accountable. You're going to be held accountable. Listen, I tried to go to war. When I was in the service, one of my best friends, who actually was my best friend, Crosley, I was attached to an MP unit. He was an MP. He was my homie. He told me that he's rolling out. They got to go to war. I was a cook. I was attached to the jail. So I didn't want to be there anymore. So I went to his captain. I saw him walking down the hallway. I said, are you the captain of this unit? He said, yes. I said, take me with you. He waited for a minute, put his head down. He thought about it. Then he said, I can't out-process you fast enough. He said, because the out-process time, he had to switch me from my captain to his unit. There's a whole thing that you just can't say, I'm taking a soldier with me. There's a whole process because it's a whole numbers game with statistics and logistics and all that. And he couldn't do everything by the time they rolled out. They were rolling out in less than 2 weeks. And so my guy, went over the water. Now, he never knew that I tried this. But what had happened was when I talked to him 20 years later, finally caught up to him on Facebook, he said, listen, when we was over there, I had an M16 and I had I think a 40 or 50 cal on. I was like, what? You had a 50? He was like, yeah, I was armed to the T. He said, our C-141, which is a cargo plane, a big cargo plane, while we were landing, they were shooting at us. He said they were shooting at the plane while we were landing. He said, when a plane landed, we had to low crawl out of the C-141. Now, let me explain to you. A C-141 can carry hundreds of troops. And you better believe that thing was packed. Just look up and see which one it is, see what it is. C-141 is huge. This is not a little plane we're talking about. It's not a few people. We're talking about something that can carry tanks easily. You can put a helicopter in a C-141. It's a Hercules, I'm trying to tell you. So he said we were all low crawling out. C-141 doesn't have any carpet, people. It's all metal. And the seats are actually facing backwards. It's all metal in there. There's nothing comfortable about a C-141. It's loud as hell. It shakes. It is a military plane. And when you're rolling out of there, you're low crawling out of there, especially if you don't know how to low crawl, you're really in trouble. But you're talking about hundreds of soldiers packed in there, ducking down because their airplanes getting shot at. He's like, we low crawled out of there. He said, as soon as the guy next to me stood up, he got his head blown off. Bam! Just like that. And all I can think of is, that would have been me. When I tell you that officer, when he told me no, that saved my life, I didn't even know it until 20 years later. He said, as soon as we stood up, the guy next to me got his head blown right off. And another guy that we both knew got his leg blown off. And all I wanted to do was go over there and protect him. So that's all I was thinking about. I was thinking, if I die, my family would get their little $50,000, but I'm gonna protect my best friend. So, but if you asked him today, does he think it's worth it? He's probably going to tell you, heck no, because now he's got so many issues with him. Like, he's 160% disabled. His mind's messed up. No, it's not worth it. Seeing his friend getting his head blown off, seeing his other friend getting his leg blown off, it's not worth it. And then for what? We're going over there to fight Iraqi soldiers for what? We don't understand why we're here. What does this have to do with us? And some of you go, because you serve your country. It's just like, let's back that up a little bit. You serve a country that hates color troops. They've always been notorious for hating color troops. That's why I got out of the Army, because my captain hated me. They hate color troops. Like I said, in the Vietnam War, they wouldn't even give black people weapons. They wouldn't even allow them to defend themselves. And I got harassed constantly by white people and by black people in the military. I mean, you talking about some people who were just some suckers in the military, and they'll do anything so the white man can be like, yeah, good on you, master, because if they didn't, they were going to get harassed. I'm telling you, it's a dog-eat-dog world in the military, and that's just the way it is. Now, I'm saying this, I know you guys can't defect, just can't walk out of the military. Only you probably can. But I know it's bad on you, you get court-martial or Article 15 and all that. And that's not exactly what I'm encouraging people to do. But I'm saying, if they send you over there, don't you shoot nobody. Don't you kill not one of them unless you have to. Don't you do it. Hey, what's going on, Cook? Tone, I think that you will be called into action if Russia. There's no way they'll call me into action. And I'm telling you, I ain't killing no Russian unless they point a gun at me. And listen, if Russia and China decide to take this thing all the way, and they can, listen, they can. I mean, listen, Russia, China, North Korea, Iraq, Iran, I mean, the Taliban, you can't tell me the Taliban's on our side because we gave them $85 million worth of equipment. They'll come over here and slaughter every single one of us if they can, because we destabilized the Middle East on purpose. On purpose. Those white boys went over there like, we're going to destabilize this country on purpose. They killed millions and millions and millions of people on purpose. And then said, hey, you know what? Here's a present for all the murder that we did. Here's $85 million worth of working equipment. Working. This is not stuff that didn't work. This is stuff that we as the American people paid for, and it works. Airplanes, tanks, and all that. You think they wouldn't love to come over here and blow some of our heads off? They would love to. Trust and believe. You was having a problem with Iraq. I don't explain what you mean. But what I'm saying is, if those countries who in some way are more advanced than we are, everybody thinks that we have the greater army. Not in every case. Not in every case. And we talked about this before, especially with Reluctant 9B. We had to clear some things up. That J30 is no joke. That Asian J30 that they got out, that fifth generation fighter, is no joke. And now we just found out that that Sukhoi that they have can destable an F-35. They didn't even know it can do that. Before the war broke out about 4 weeks ago, there was an F-35 that rolled into Russian territory, and it met up with a J-30, and didn't, or not a J-30, a J-20 or a Sukhoi, and didn't even know that the Sukhoi was there. And then the Sukhoi showed up and said, "You need to leave." And they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to turn that thing around. And what he did was he took control of that F-35 from another airplane. Took control of it. Boom. Told him, "You need to get up out of here." Once he relinquished control, that F-35 took off. I didn't know they could do that. Did our military know that they can do that? Imagine them doing that to an F-22 Raptor. Oh, it's lights out. Okay, let's see this. Either you die or you feet with us, or you fight with us, I get it. Or Russia and China will kill you on your knees. No. You misunderstand me. I tell you, my commander, that I wasn't killing anyone. And I was in during the time, I think I was in during the time 9B was in. Matter of fact, we were in the same country. Listen, you don't understand what I'm saying, Matrix. What I'm saying is, if the Ruskies came to my door with the noise, I'm going to defend myself. That's just it. But am I going to pack up, put on some BDUs with your dress battle uniforms, load up the M16A2, and then head out and start hunting Ruskies? Absolutely not. I'm not. But if they confronted me and, put up the banger, I'm going to put up my banger. I'll be like, "Listen, I don't know what language, I don't know if you can understand English, but, V Gates or whatever it is. Nas Vidanya, because I don't want to shoot you, but I will." And that's it. Listen, they got hypersonic missiles. We don't. And I'm going to tell you something. Putin ain't no joke. I know everybody, thinks he's playing. That is the biggest gangster on the planet, and he's the richest gangster on the planet. Well, that's not true. That's not true, but he's close to it. He's hella rich. Nonetheless, if Putin wants to start firing off the hypersonic missiles and start, blowing up parts of America, he could do it. He already said, what was it, Article 55? He already threatened us 2 weeks ago and said, "Listen, you're gonna experience Article 55 so fast." Like, he's like, "I'm telling you, if you get involved, you're gonna experience Article 55." And he's talking about nuclear weapons. Now, some of those nuclear weapons we can shoot down, but we cannot shoot down a hypersonic missile. We just can't, because it's traveling too fast. I think it's using scramjet technology. If you don't pre-ready, you will end up like the Jews and the Nazis came to their doors. All right, let's just break this down. What you said about the Jews and the Nazis. The Jews have been kicked out of 109 countries. And a lot of them is because of their practices. We know that they're the ones who control the banks. We know that they're the ones who, when it comes to money, they have a whole different outlook than most people. And biblically, of course, they got their own Bible, but biblically it says you shouldn't charge interest on everything. They're all about interest They're all about the banks. This is why the banks are so chaotic and messed up, and people aren't trusting them anymore because they're literally just taking your money now. A lot of people are getting their money just small businesses. We were talking about this the other day. Small businesses are just getting their money taken out. And the government is just like, it's forfeiture. We're taking it, sue us if you want it back. And of course, a lot of people can't afford to do that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand, Hitler disliked the Jews for a reason. Now, it doesn't give him an excuse to kill 6 million of them. Okay, but nonetheless, there was a reason why they were so disliked. And they knew what they were doing, just like what they're doing today is the same thing. A lot of them are warmongers. You have to understand, the Jews came from actually Russia that was called Russian Askhazes. And they were known to be a warlike people. These are not just all of a sudden, just some megalomaniac just decide, I'm going to go kill a bunch of these people and then single them out. It's just like, the African people had far more slaves than the Europeans did, and they were shipping slaves over here. We didn't get here because the Santa Pinta in the Maria and the good ship Jesus just happened to land on the Ivory Coast, and then boom, all of a sudden the transatlantic slave trade. No, they were already slaves over there, and they just, sold them. Black people sold black people is what happened. But when it comes to, like I said, when it comes to the Jews, they were already doing scrupulous things. That's why a bunch of countries did not want them. There was already things in the works. And when Hitler finally had enough, I don't know what his particular reason was, but you got to understand, Hitler was mad at a few people, and he literally wanted to take over the world. Okay, but he hated the Jews. He wasn't the only one. He was not the only one who hated the Jews. He hated their practices. He hates them. So let's just get this straight. Did you see the info sent about our biolabs in Ukraine? I did not see that information about the biolabs, and I know you were expounding on that the other day. I didn't. Okay, so the Reluctant Nabi has a lot of information that I don't. He can explain it better than I can. I wish I could do the whole double screen thing so he can, relay this information. But he's saying that one of the reasons, like I said, there are many reasons why the Ukraine is being invaded. But he's saying that one of the reasons is because of biolabs that are in the Ukraine. I don't know what they were making there. Heck, they were probably making other people, as far as I'm concerned. But nonetheless, there was some type of agreement that our presidents had, 3-4 presidents back, and that agreement has been broken. And then, of course, here we go again. Listen, the UN isn't the UN for no reason. Somebody was saying on Facebook that America should stay out of it, because the Ukraine isn't going to come help us fight when we need it. And I'm just, and he was just like, nobody comes to help America when they get in a fight. And I'm like, well, that's nowhere near the truth. Because if you look back 200 years ago, to any war that America has been in, there has always been somebody allied with us. Always. Always been somebody else there fighting with us, whether it's, except Canada. But there's always been, it's usually France and England who's been there. So, yeah, hold on. Let me get to some of your. I'm trying to get my thoughts out, read you, and be respectful to your comments. Tell the U.S. has anti-gravity weapons and aircraft. Sometimes you hit your enemy with a huge surprise to get them to conform. This I know because I witnessed it when I was in. Okay, so don't know when you were in, but not going to say you were wrong. Because the U.S. works on a lot of weird stuff, just like even, Germany back in the day you heard of the scientists that had something to do with the bell, and they were, messing with UFOs, and those scientists were also messing with ways to travel all over the world by going through one door. You're in China, boom, next thing you know, you're in Brazil. We found out that people have actually experienced this. One guy leaned on a rock and he ended up in a whole another continent. So we know these things are true. So what you're saying, hey, I believe you 100% because the technology that we actually know of as, the regular citizen is behind the technology that the military works on. And there's a lot of stuff that they can do, and especially anti-gravity. Now, when we're talking about I did a whole video on what I thought anti-gravity was and actually how to create it. Now, I'm no scientist, so I was just speculating. But I did look up some things when it came to anti-gravity, especially in so-called flying saucers, and the liquids that they were using in order to create a gravitational pull to lift something off the ground. So, yeah, I believe in all that because I've actually seen some literature on anti-gravity. Reluctant. Matrix, the use has been weakened by Obama and Biden. That's because they were more anti-war. Obama is why I retired. They destroyed Germany in World War One by stabbing Germany in the back. Ukraine wasn't NATO, so we weren't going to help them. Well, they're NATO now because we need that position, and there's no way Putin is going to let the Ukraine become NATO without a fight. We already see that. He's like, nope, it's not going to happen. This is the same thing with Taiwan. They're like, nope, we're not going to happen. Why do you think the Chinese were building military platforms on the South China Sea? And then America was just like, nope, we don't want you to do this. And they were like, this is the South China Sea. We're going to do it. And of course they did. But the problem is now that a lot of that land that they created out of the ocean is not stable. They put, aircraft with missile silos and all that kind of stuff and built it there, but it's not stable. So they're like, no, we're going to have to abandon some of these. But they're doing this because of position. I don't know a lot about Poland, but I know it's close to all those areas. But the point is, you guys, this is not our war. I don't know if they respect black people differently now, but they did not respect us when we were in the service. They didn't. They didn't, and that's the reason why I got out. Because I couldn't get any respect. Here I am. To me, I wasn't, as far as physically, I was a damn good soldier. But I couldn't take orders from people who were just stupid and just thrown around the ring just for nothing and just harassing people. I couldn't understand it. I was like, I'm 19 years old. You know what I'm saying? I'm 19, 20 years old. I'm outrunning most of the people on the whole concern. Now, I wasn't the fastest guy on the concern, but I was one of them. Concern is another word for base. And even when I got to Fort Raleigh, I ran into some people who could really run. But nonetheless, I can keep up with them for a certain distance. You put me on the field, my endurance level was, I was top tier. You know what I'm saying? When it came to that 2 mile, I was running it in under 11 seconds, even after muscle failure the day before. Like, this is not something you want to throw away, and they would just discard you like you were nothing. I'm like, don't you know in wartime you're going to need somebody like me? You're nothing to us. You're nothing. But like I did, how do you just throw away good soldiers like that? The The fact is they just think you're expendable because you're a certain color. They just don't care. Ukraine was trying to. I think Ukraine is in NATO. I think Ukraine is in NATO, or they're trying to get into NATO. But like I said, this is one of the reasons this whole fight is over. Ukraine trying to get into NATO. If they do, then America is pretty much going to go over there and start taking over stuff, and that's just way too close to Russia. And this is why Russia is saying, if you guys listen, this beef has been going on for a long time between us and Russia. Hell, Russia sent 2 supersonic jets that was heading toward France. That happened, 3-4 years ago. And then France was on high alert because those jets that they sent over could carry nuclear weapons. It wasn't the little Sukhois or the MiGs. No, they sent over supersonic. You remember the what's that jet that used to fly out of France until it crashed? With the Condor. That's what their supersonic jets look like, and they fly just as fast. Try to catch one of those, and I'm telling you, and you got to understand, some of the airplanes we got are good at stealth, but they're not fast. The fastest planes right now that are weaponized belong to the Russians. They belong to the Russians. If you go and start looking up which plane is the fastest, the Russians. The Russians have the fastest plane in the air. And you can do it. Just go and look it up on YouTube. Our F-15, not going to do it. That F-15 Tomcat, the F-15 Tomcat, even though they're trying to remake it or they're trying to do stuff to it, the F-15 Tomcat is faster than the F-22 and the F-35. And all the variations of the F-35. There's like 4 of them. The one that we've been fighting back in the Tom Cruise days, that airplane right there is faster than the newer airplanes. Why? Because they wanted to count on stealth. Well, we just found out that didn't work so well because that Sukhoi looked right at the F-35 and climbed right next to it and took it over. This just happened a couple weeks ago. They spent all that money on stealth and it didn't work. I'm just saying. It just seemed like a waste to me. No, they were trying to get into NATO. Yeah, I don't think they're into NATO yet, but they're trying to get into NATO. But America's acting like they're part of NATO. If NATO just would have said, no, none of this would be happening. No, I'm not sure. Yeah, the Concorde. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Nabi. I think there still would have been a small skirmish. But it would have been none of our business. There would have been a skirmish, but it would have been none of our business. You are wrong. Listen, before I even read the rest of that, I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind being wrong. But what I do mind is when somebody tells me that I'm wrong and doesn't come up with the right answer so I can look it up. So I don't mind being wrong. Okay, you are wrong, Tone. The F-14 and the Blackbird still have the record. Tone check. No. Go back to what I said. No. Hold on a second. You're gonna blow my nose because I'm gonna come. No. We're not doing that, buddy. We're not doing that. Oh no! We just gonna get into this. So hold on a second, cut this music off. All right. Okay, so let me read this again. No, for one, I said weaponized. The Blackbird has never been weaponized. The Blackbird is a spy plane. So we can just knock that out right now. The F-14 Tomcat. Yeah. And what I said was the one back in Tom Cruise days, which was the F-14. That's the fastest plane we have. I said it's faster than the F-22 Raptor, and it's faster than the F-35. This is what I said. Yeah. Not plane to plane. I was talking about something that can carry weapons. So we're not dealing with stealth. And there were two planes that were Blackbirds. One was for the U.S. Air Force, and the other one was built for the CIA. So let's figure out who has the fastest warplane. We're talking about the fastest jets out there. And listen, I like this kind of stuff. You guys to hear this. As of 2021. Let's see. All right, the fastest aircraft ever. No, we're not going to do fastest speed. We're going to do top 10 jets. See if we can. How do we get this? Do this commercial.
We have compiled the world's top 10 fastest fighter aircraft for you. Number 10.
This is recent.
F-22 Raptor.
F-22 Raptor.
Country of origin, USA.
I already talked about this. It's going to go 15. Oh, they're breaking it down in K, but they're not breaking it down in miles per hour. Okay, 25 km, 500 km. They're not breaking it down in miles per hour. I don't like when they don't break it down in miles per hour. Yeah. Okay.
Country of origin,
Then
Russia.
there's the MiG-35, Russia. Okay, that's number 9. 2560. Okay. Number 8
Su-57.
is the Su-57, Russia.
Country of origin, Russia.
That's number 7. Its speed, 2600 km. Number 7,
Eagle.
the F-15 Eagle, number 7. There's your argument. And I think you're talking about the F-14 Tomcat. Okay, so the F-15 Eagle, I think this is actually what the Tom Cruise movie was about, the F-15 Eagle. So let's just keep going. I can't read your comments right now because I'm on another screen. So the F-15 Eagle, it's going to fly at 2655 km. All right, let's see if I can skip through some of this. The J-20, that is either Japanese or Chinese. 27. I think that's Chinese right there, the J-20. That J-30 though is gonna be faster than it though. The MiG
1.42.
The MiG 142 is in number.
Country of origin, Russia.
Yeah. It's in number 5. That's 2760. These are not miles per hour. Number 4 is the Su-35 Flanker E. That is also Russia. Russian. Anything that's Su is Russian. Su or MiG is Russian. That's 2870 KM. Number 3 is the Shenyang J15, which I think is Japanese.
15. Country of origin, China.
That's China. Its speed is 2940 km. But that's not even a 5th generation fighter. Number 2
MiG-25
is the MiG-25. And I think the MiG-25 also has the highest altitude also. And it's 3,000 km. And number 1 is the MiG-31, which is Russian. Its speed, 3035 km. Are we done here? Yeah. The Russians have the fastest plane in the sky. Yep. 2655 Eagles. Oh yeah, this thing is doing 3,000. It's doing 3,064.65 km. So I don't know what that is in miles per hour, but it's according to this, yeah, 3035, something like that, 3035 km. And it's the MiG-31. It is the fastest plane in the sky right now, which is Russian. And like I told you, bro, the plane that is more agile in the, okay, well, now you're talking about something totally different, though. We were talking about speed, and I was telling you that I've been looking up this stuff, so I was not wrong, was my whole point. I was wrong on the plane that the Russians had. I thought the Sukhoi was faster than the MiG, but the MiG is actually faster than the Sukhoi. So I was wrong there, but their planes are faster than ours. And the reason, and I'm going to tell you why the MiG is the faster plane, because the MiG was actually designed to catch our spy planes. It was designed to shoot down our spy planes. So the first plane that you mentioned, the one that was the one that was built by the CIA and the Air Force. Yeah, those two planes, they were spy planes, so we would send them over Russia all the time, and then slow them down, and then get information, and then once their surface-to-air radar would pick them up, sometime they would, if they're flying slow enough. When their radar would pick them up, all they would do is just punch it because they couldn't fire back. And they were never in any trouble. They would just punch it. So Russia said, well, we need to find a way to catch up to this SR-71. So let's look how fast, just for the sake of the conversation, how fast is the SR-71? The SR-71 Blackbird, like I said, there was 2 of them. One was made for the Air Force. One was made for the CIA, because the CIA is the CIA. The SR-71 is flying at 2,455 miles an hour. I don't know what that translates into in Ks. So let me find that out real quick, just to be. 2455 mph to K is, no, this is wrong. Oh, this is it. This is it. Oh, this is wrong. Oh, this is backwards. Oh, so the MiG was flying at 3,000, what was that, 3054, something like that. Well, the SR 71 is flying at 3950.95, so it still couldn't catch it. However, it could catch up. It was the closest thing that they had to try to get within range, so they can fire a missile at it. The surface-to-air missiles wasn't catching up to it, so they figured if they can get a plane that could climb to its altitude and go almost as fast as it can, then they can try to shoot it down. That's why it was made. Bro, the plane that is more agile. Okay. So when it comes to agility, I don't know what plane is more agile, but I think the Russians have us on that too. The U.S. Army was falling off, and Trump saw that. The MiG-31 only has a top speed of, I do this for a living. Yeah, you do this for a living, but you've been wrong. Yeah, I'm just sitting up here correcting you. I mean, we can look it up again if you want. What's the most agile plane in the sky? You do this for a living. I mean, I don't know what your argument is here. What is your position? Well, for one, once again, I don't mind being wrong if you're even still here. I don't mind being wrong about something, but we can both look up the numbers and find out whatever the numbers is. And, then you can, I don't know, do your research on the results that we get. But right now, the MiG is the top dog. It's the fastest thing out there. I don't know if I know it's not the most agile thing out there, but I know it's, the fastest thing out there. I think the J-30 is the most agile. That's because of its I don't know what they call them, but it's the way that it's built. The nose is here, then it has two wings here, and then it has its main wings here. And these wings here allow it to do some serious maneuvers. So I'm thinking that it and the Sukhoi is the most agile in the sky. I know it's not an American plane that's the most agile, because America did not invest in agility. America invests in radar, and America. You say the F-22. The F-22 is not the most agile plane. Then, all right, let's do it. The most agile or the most maneuverable? Top 10 maneuverable fighters, jets. This was 2018. Okay, so here's your F-35 here. But the top 10 most maneuverable planes. You're saying it is the F-22. I don't think it's the F-22, simply because of the way the F-22 was made.
Generous.
I don't think it's the F-22. You gotta get through this commercial real quick. I think the answer is it's either the J-30 or it's the Sukhoi. I think it's the yeah. See if we can get through this list. Top 10 most maneuverable fighters, agility, aircraft rating on turning ability. Number 10 is the Super Hornet, US. I wouldn't even think about the Super Hornet. Okay, they don't have this listed like I thought. All right, so I'm gonna have to go through it by sound. See. Number 8 is the JAS 39 Gripen, Sweden. Let me go back to number 9. Number 9 is the Su-33, Russia. So number 8 is Sweden. Number 7 is the Eurofighter, the Typhoon Eurofighter that I think France uses or something like that. France uses the Eurofighter. Number 5, and then we missed number 6. Number 5 is the MiG-35. Let's see what number 6 was. Skipping right over it. Hold on a second. All right, let's show number 6. So number 4 is the what is that? What is that? Is the Sukhoi T-50, Russia. That's number 4. And number 3 is the F-22 Raptor. Let me get back to what you said. Okay, so number 3 is the F-22 Raptor. So let's go back and look at once again, this is something you can go and look up yourself. That's all I'm doing. Yeah. But I knew it wasn't the most agile plane. Yeah, number 3 is the United States Raptor. But it's the stealthiest plane. Because that's what we concentrate on. Number 2 is the Sukhoi 35, which is the one I thought is it a Sukhoi 30 or a 35? Yeah, it's what I thought. And I think the number 1 is the Japanese plane, the J-30. And no, the number 1 is The Sukhoi 30. So I transposed it. Number one is the Sukhoi 30, which is Russian. So I was close, but I was wrong. But I knew they were both more maneuverable than any fighter that we had. Because, and I'm going to tell you why that is. I'm going to read your comments in a minute. I'm going to tell you why that is. Is because the F-14 and the F-15 were kicking their ass in dogfights. That's what it is. They were kicking their ass in speed and dogfights. So the whole race was who can reach supersonic speed. And then once you get the subsonic speed, who can outmaneuver who? That's pretty much what it was. But now the race have changed because everything is more electrical. So now the F-22 and the F-35 are not the fastest in the sky because they base all the technology now on stealth. Who can be seen and who cannot be seen. And they also base their technology on who can control what, meaning that if they can control the battlefield and hit you before you can see them, then the battle is won. And this is where America wins over pretty much any country out there. This is why America brags on their technology more than anything. When it comes to just a brutal fight, Russia's going to take it when it comes to the air. But when it comes to technology and who's more sneakier and things like that, America's going to take it hands down because we can hit you from, over 100 miles out and you don't even know who shot you. You have no idea because you can't see it on radar. It looks like a little box. The F-22 looks like a box on radar. It's so small that you have no idea what it is. It just looks like a little blip. But once you see that blip, we already fired on you. This is what America based their technology on. And another thing is America has a bunch of unmanned technology. So you might see an F-22 in the sky and it will be totally unmanned. But the thing about it is, one F-22 can control 5 others. So you're going to see shit, things get knocked out of the sky, and you're not going to see nobody bailing out of it because it was an unmanned plane. This is what America's technology is doing. Their radar is more advanced than anything, and their computer systems, their thinking ability is more advanced than anyone's. But the toughest plane in the air are definitely the Sioux and the MiGs. That's just that. I'll read your comments. Troll alert. I don't think he's trolling me. I think he just, I don't know. We're all looking for information. If somebody was trolling me, they would keep asking me the same question every time. You're wrong again, Tone. I think you need me to properly educate you. I do. I do need you to properly educate me. I welcome that because so far I've been only wrong on what country had the most agile plane. But your plane was number 4. My plane was number 2. I was right on the speed of the plane, not how fast, but who has the fastest plane. You were wrong on that too. So yeah, there's that. He just come here to argue. You know what? I don't mind as long as he's bringing an intelligent argument. You want to argue with me intelligently, I don't mind that at all because I don't mind being wrong, especially when you want to educate me on something. Please do, because Nabi constantly educates me on things. Even stuff I like, bro, like one time I asked Nabi a question about the Bible and I regretted it. I'm not going to lie. I did. I just... It was so much information that came out of his mouth within 5 minutes. I was completely lost. And I read the Bible every day, twice a day. I asked him something about Samson, and he started talking about Samson's real name and all that. And I was like, wow. And the thing about it is I couldn't even say, wait a minute, go back, because I was trying to process all the information and go from what I knew to what he was saying, and then I realized I need to go look up what this dude is saying because I have I couldn't even get like a point of reference because I wanted to know where did the name Shimshal come from and where'd you get that? How'd you? It just so he is a bevy of knowledge that I just don't. I can't compute fast enough sometimes, and I have to slow him down so I can get what he's saying in order to be able to have an intelligible conversation. But this is how it is when somebody is literally smarter than you. Okay, so Texas Marine. How you know? Texas Marine is one of Nadi's. He's one of Nadi's guys. Glad you're here, Texas Marine. Matrix Networks, 1864 miles per hour. Details matter. Details do matter. Now, what are you talking about? 1,864 miles per hour. Want to know what you were talking about? I was arriving. I was arriving in the Marines. Okay. I think you're talking to someone. Okay. The F-22 is not as fast. Yeah. Get him straight on that because he thinks it is and it's not. The art of dogfighting is lost or being lost. Texas Marine, I'm gonna say yes because now the art of dogfighting is long range, and America will win when it comes to long range. When it comes to short range, I'm gonna hand that to the Russians, 100%, and then China's in there somewhere. But as far as dogfighting is concerned, recently, right over the city of Kiev, the ghost of Kiev knocked down 6 planes. So and there's actually video of him taking one plane out. So yeah, and which I don't know what plane he knocked out of the sky. There's a list of them, but the one that was recorded that he knocked out of the sky, this plane did not. Well, he knew he was there, but the way this guy turned the corner on this guy, flipped over and it shot a missile at him was just something right out of a movie. You can see it. It's on World Star Hip Hop, and it's just like, wow, he just shot him down. And, this high-powered supersonic plane couldn't even get out of the way of this missile coming right out of him. Boom, blew him right out of the sky. And he didn't get a chance to even jump. I mean, it killed him. So, true speed of the MiG-31. Yeah, the MiG-31 is fast. America wins with, we won with tech. Not man-to-man skills, no. In the air. Russian, yeah. We agree on the same thing. Americans' tech is highly, highly dangerous. The only thing that America does not have is a hypersonic missile or a way to defend it. So if they shoot one of them hypersonic missiles at any of our aircraft carriers, then it's a done deal. You're gonna have to have something try to take it out by the time it hits it. But hypersonic, missiles are traveling so fast. They're hard to hit. They're hard to see. By the time you pick them up on radar, they're in your backyard. So, text me. What was your rank? Okay, talk to me. Text me. I was an officer with hands-on knowledge. A technology. Oh, Matrix. Okay, Matrix. All right. Tell us something you know to be true about warfare. Now, since we're talking about planes, tell us something you know to be true about airplanes, especially the more recent ones. No. The ones when you were serving. We'll do that. Because technology is changing. If you're not keeping up with it, look, we're all ex-military. I was in 30 years ago. I mean, so whatever we were fighting with then, we're not fighting with now. Let's just face it. A lot of the stuff is retired. And I was stationed in Germany, and my unit was air defense. When I was a cook, I had nothing to do with air defense. You know what I'm saying? So I can tell you how to, flip 1,000 eggs at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I can't tell you nothing about air defense. I just can't. I don't know anything. But tell us something you know to be true. Besides, I had the clearance, regardless of rank. I touched the physical plans under the body. Okay, yeah, tell us something to be true. What were we fighting with back then? I don't know when you were in, but we can look up that information. But as of right now, America in a dogfight at CQB, which is quarter combat, will lose, and we already saw it when an SU rode up on an F-35. But that F-35 wasn't being flown by an American. I wanted to say that. It was being flown by someone from another country. I forgot what country they were from. But they weren't American, whoever was flying that F-35 that the SU took over. It literally took over its controls. So there's that. But the promise of stealth at close range is not what the F-35 to me. It doesn't seem like that's what it was built for. It looks like the F-35 and the 22 were built for long range. So long range stealth is America's game. Close quarter combat is the Russians' game, and they're damn good at it. Not to mention that the Russian plane can track down an F-22 and an F-35 and an F-14. Some of those Russian planes can track you down. I work directly on Project Blue Book. Oh, no. Oh, no. You know, Hey, listen, I worked on eggs and bacon, but I bet you can tell me a lot about eggs and bacon, man. I don't know. Then get out of here with that. I worked on Project Blue Book. This is why I win a debate on who has the fastest airplane right now in the sky. You don't win. You don't win no debate. Listen, we're not talking about Project Blue Book. You win a debate on Project Blue Book. Okay, you build cars and you're the only mechanic here, fine. We all know something about cars, but you know them intimately. Yeah, you do that. But none of us worked on Project Blue Book, so we're not even talking about that. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about modern day warfare because it looks like, or it's quite possible that the war can be coming over here very quickly if Joe Biden, in his senility, decides to go ahead and push the button. Listen, they're sending troops to Russia. Okay, let's not be fooled. America is involved in what's going on right now. All right, and Putin just warned us a week ago: if you get involved, there is going to be a violent reaction. Like this is what we're talking about. Okay, we're talking about who's going to be flying over American soil within the next, month or two. Is it possible that we're going to get a close encounter of a MiG-29 flying over our heads? This is what's pertinent, stuff that we did back then. Who cares? I live near an Air Force base. Okay, the Warthog that they're talking about, I see those flying over my head. There's an Air Force base a stone throw away from here. Okay? So, yeah, I'm concerned. There's an Army Air Force base. I park my car next to it every day. I mean, I could throw a rock and hit the fence, and there's Army soldiers right there exercising. So, when they, I see rollouts happening, camouflage, equipment. Okay, I live in a hot spot. I live in Ohio. All right, we know that a lot of supplies come out of Ohio. This is the things I'm concerned with. I'm like, come on, let's be for real. And when that happens here, Project Blue Book, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, The Project Blue Book, okay, fine. You know more about that subject, but that's not what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about if America fails, what position does that put us in? You have a security clearance, and that's not a class 5. Don't know what that means. Oh, yeah. Explain it to him, Abby. They fly them. They don't work on them. Case closed on what you. Oh boy. I need to get my. It's in here. Yeah. So I don't. I think people like Nabi and Texas Marine and I we're all in the same position in a state of mind going, we know this has nothing to do with us. We're not gearing up to go and bust somebody's behind that is, 3,000 miles away and decide to come on over here and start some ruckus. It's not something that we're looking forward to, but I mean, if they want to come to Texas, like this is where the war is really going to stop right here. Like, listen, Tarvich, you're in Texas now. I don't know if you heard of us, but kind of a thing we like to do is everybody's got guns. And so, yeah, you might want to check it on out of here. Yeah, make sure you don't go to Virginia either. Don't do that. Go to Alabama. You hang out there. They'll like you in Alabama. But over here in Texas, definitely not where you want to be. I don't know who he is. I don't know. But, he's got an opinion, and I value opinions. And hey, like I said, I flipped eggs, man. This guy has clearance on something. That's fine with me. If he would have said a WO, then he would have had a case. Well, I think all of you, the things that you were doing in the military far exceeds what I was doing. I was the person who fed you. Like I can tell you what MREs are good and which ones are terrible. You know what I'm saying? I could set up a GP large and, get you guys fed, keep you warm, and get you some good coffee in your stomach and all the technical stuff you guys can handle. I can still shoot too and throw a hand grenade and, and shoot one of them, bazookas, backblast area, all clear. I can still knock, the dust off a tank, but, things are different now. You know what I'm saying? The howitzer ain't the howitzer anymore. Heck, the best tanks we have, I don't even know who has the best tank. I think I'm going to go with China on that one. China and Russia probably have the best tanks that there are. So, yeah, I'll get you fed, but, all that Project Blue Book and all that technical stuff, hey, you're not going to get an argument out of me. I don't even know what Project Blue Book was. As far as being an officer, tell you something, I never wanted to be an officer. I would have, if anything, I would have wanted to be a warrant officer. If I could have went back into the military, now that I got my education, I would have been a warrant officer. But still with no ambition to shoot nobody in the face over, whatever they're fighting over right now. Listen, the only way I think that war is going to come to our territory is if Joe Biden decides to send, like the equipment that Joe sent over there was all reinforcing military equipment. He sent ammunition. That's what he sent. Now, if we know that a Russian ship and an American ship just got into it, we're waiting for that to happen. Okay, if that escalates in that aircraft carrier, that big one we got sitting there in the Black Sea, or is it in the Black Sea? I know that they were heading towards the Black. I know that Putin had six to 10 ships heading to the Black Sea. If we decide to go into the Black Sea, we're going to World War. It's going to be over. It's going to be over. Because if our aircraft carriers sit in the Black Sea, then our planes are going to take off from that aircraft carrier and they're going to start bombing the hell out of Russia. They bomb the hell out of Russia, Russia's going to make one phone call and they're going to call up China. They call up China and it's going to be over with. Because we're going to call up Japan. Even though China's bigger, we're going to call up Japan, we're going to call up Taiwan, we're going to call up South Korea. South Korea gets called up, North Korea is jumping in it. And it's going to be a free-for-all because both of them are just going to bomb the hell out of each other. Japan is going to start bombing China. China is going to bomb the hell out of Japan, and they're going to bomb the hell out of Taiwan. And it's just going to be a free-for-all there because India is going to jump right into it. And they already don't like the Chinese. And they're sitting there watching that border that's in the mountains right now, throwing rocks at each other. They don't have 20 soldiers dead over that. So as soon as China starts, throwing around whatever they're going to throw around, India is going to get into it. And India is going to cross, they're going to physically step over that line and cross right into China. And when they cross into China, it's going to be all bad for China because Indians, the people of the army of India, when it comes to man, they are better fighter than the Chinese. The Chinese are going to have a problem with them. They're bigger than India, but when it comes to the equipment, India has better equipment than the Chinese do. And they're going to have an issue. And they're already looking at each other. When I say face-to-face, I mean the Hatfields and McCoys. They're looking at each other. Like your neighbor is looking at you. India and China are standing there on a border looking at each other, waiting for somebody to cross that border. Their ships are tracking. Tanks are the only thing we make. What do you mean? You're being sarcastic? Not necessarily. I don't listen. Okay, so here's what I don't think is going to happen, and I could be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong. I know that Putin has threatened us. But here's the thing we all realize. A nuclear war now is a whole different problem than a nuclear war back then. When America bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the results of Hiroshima and Nagasaki can still be seen today. Because other than obliterating thousands of people in an instant, and also the people who were left there who survived it, when they start having children, their children were deformed. And you got to give it to Japan because they built Japan up like in no time. Just think, 1948 was not even that long ago. There are people who are alive who still were involved in that. I mean, so it was not even a lifetime ago. You'd be like, oh, that was a lifetime ago. That was 1835. No, it was 1948 when that happened. Those people are still alive and their children came out, So the radiation, if you look at Chernobyl right now, which I think they just went into Chernobyl, it's unlivable. And that's where that nuclear plant, went out. There's nothing that lives there except for there are some animals that are starting to come out, but humans can't live there. There are plants that are growing there. There are animals that are now starting to come back, but humans can't live there. So when you're talking about And when you're talking, you'll be in Brazil, right? Me too. When you're talking about a nuclear war, is I think everybody has a perfect understanding. This one thing I did like that Obama did. He went around saying, "What if everybody pushed a button?" He went to every superpower and he was like, "What if everybody pushed a button? You, China, us, India. What if we all just did it? What would happen? Civilization as we know would be obliterated." And listen, we're not just talking about on land. We're talking about the food we eat that comes from the ocean will be changed dramatically. We're talking about the ocean will be changed dramatically. I mean, just think the Pacific and the Atlantic. If you disturb that good enough, how much of it can wipe out civilization? It doesn't take much. When you start dropping bombs or hypothetically thinking, okay, well, let's just look at this. The bombs that they just used in I think it was in the Atlantic. I think I'm not sure what ocean it was, but they just fired off some bombs. And look at the results of those bombs. Like, why did they do that? And look at was it India or what country was it that just lost a nuclear sub? When they lost that sub, the sub was torn apart in three pieces. It just happened this year. Who was it? Nepal? This is one of those countries over there. They just lost that nuclear sub, and everybody went looking for it. Those men, they're gone. I mean, just start thinking about those things, like the effect that we have on the ocean itself, the nuclear waste that we've dumped into the ocean that's now starting to come back to us. There's a trash heap that's the size of Texas floating around the ocean. It has its own ecosystem. I mean, Mother Nature is only going to put up with us for so much longer. I mean, just Obama went around and said, what would happen if we just destabilize the catatonic plates? Well, what happened if we did that? If we dropped the bomb down into the Mariana Trench? What happened if we did that? Putin, come on, what you got? What will happen if we just bleach up? Because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a major shift in the tectonic plates. And I'm not sure if anybody's been paying attention, but the Ring of Fire that goes up under the Atlantic Ocean, the volcanoes that go up under the Atlantic Ocean, didn't one of them just go off? One of them just went off, didn't it? And it caused a tsunami thousands of miles away. No, let's get into reality here. We got five major super volcanoes. One of them is Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park, some of it used to have a lake on it. And we know because, there were boats and ferry boats and all that, big boats that used to go over this lake. That lake is now almost dried up to the point where the boats that sank on it, you can now see at the bottom of the bed with your physical eye. Why is that happening? Did the water just evaporate? Is the ground is the mouth of the rising of the volcano rising? Yes, that's exactly what's happening. It's rising. It's in Yellowstone National Park. You know how wide that mouth is? It's 5 miles wide. Go look it up for you who think I'm wrong. Just go look it up. Yellowstone National Park volcano. It's a volcano and it's active. Now, you think it's not connected with that volcano that just... How many volcanoes just went off within the last 5 years? Within the last 2 years? Hell, within the last year. We just had 2 volcanoes go off within the last 6 months. 2 of them. Now, just imagine if we added fuel to the fire. These things are not lost on the leaders of the world. I mean, it's just a delicate dance that we're doing. And this is why I'm thinking and hoping that these people are smart enough not to say, you know what, let's all die. Boom, push the button. Because that's exactly what happened. There will be a restart. And the 7 billion of us that are here, there will be a skeleton crew. Maybe, I wouldn't even think a million of us to survive. That's on each continent. I'm going to read some of your comments. I don't know where I'm at. As far as the subs concerned, okay, I'm gonna give this one to Mr. 1001 Matrix Networks. Who has the largest sub? See if you know this one off rip. Who has the largest submarine? Okay. No one comes close to our tanks. Ooh. No one comes close to our tanks, Nabi? Ooh, do we need to do a who has the best tanks out there? I don't know. You tell me if you want to do that. Because our Abrams, I think, is number 2. I think the best tank out there belongs to I think it belongs to either China or Japan, but I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. But then again, there's what's best. There's how thick the armor is. There's more technology. Uh, I think ours, and then there's the weight of it. And I know some of the tanks that they start changing because they're too heavy. And you would have never thought it was too heavy. Some other tanks are actually amphibious. Now, an amphibious tank assault was actually used by the Germans going into Russia. And what they found out was, well, there was a whole tank battalion lost because they tried to come at them underwater. They ended up drowning those guys. So that's always been a thing. And what they do now is a tank can actually go underwater and keep moving, but what they use is some kind of flue that sticks out in where it allows air to constantly come in. And if water gets over that, of course, now you're looking at drowning. But as long as that flue is able to absorb or take in air, then that tank can just keep going and then boom, come right up out of there. I think we have the Abrams and the howitzer. I don't know. So I'm gonna read some of your comments. I'll be in Brazil. Me too. No on the tanks. Our tanks have been good. Our tanks are good. Our tanks are good. I am coming to see you soon, Tom. So we get to that. You know what? You're welcome. Let's do it. So I'm not engaged in a real debate. I don't mind that. And direct understanding of your point of view on the art of war and high approach. I welcome that. I would love that. I would love that. I would love that 100%. Only South America and Africa would survive. Africa would definitely survive. I'm going to say this before I read some more of your comments. You ever notice how, okay, so there are some countries that have nothing, like Sweden. Sweden's like, you guys go ahead and fight. We're going to stay out of it. But Sweden's got warplanes. They can do their own thing, but we're going to stay out of it. Africa, everybody's maiming and raping Africa, but Africa isn't a threat of being nuked. What are you going to nuke? Who are you going to nuke over there? The only place that you come close to nuking over there is South Africa. Why? Because they have a standing army, but they're all South Africans, meaning they're white. South Africa, white people have an army over there. Now, of course, black people, they have their armies, but our armies are no threat. We got like 10 planes. I mean, our armies, I don't know any African army that has a submarine. Now, I could be wrong. I don't mind. But you show me an African army that has a submarine. They don't, because they don't have the money. They don't have the money. They got some ships, but they don't have, what, Nigeria? They don't have a submarine. They don't have the money. Because the money that's coming out of the country is constantly going into European countries. They keep taking it. They're not going to allow Africans to build up to where they got, 20, 30 submarines that have nuclear power. And that's not going to happen. We don't have the African warplane, AF-91 flying at supersonic speeds, and we ain't got none of that. That's not gonna happen. None of that. African ain't got none of that. Africans, the whole continent of Africa, you would think they would have a huge standing army. No, they don't. They don't. They have small armies that could be taken out. A couple warplanes, you bomb them, it's over with. A lot of their planes they're getting from their leftovers. I'm just telling you now, they're leftover airplanes. Hell, we got more airplanes in the. Oh my god, they need to buy some of them from the shipyard down there in Arizona. I'm surprised they don't. I'm read some of your comments. Lost. Oh, Indonesia. Indonesia lost the sub. Thank you very much. I thought you was coming to see me. Matrix is coming to see all of us. Yeah, Indonesia lost the sub. Texas Marine already have your previous chain of command in VA office. I see you on your next VA appointment. You talking stuff. Pacific, not Atlantic. Yeah, bro. Yeah, straighten me out. Straighten me out. I try to fit all this in the conversation. It's just me here. And, trying to get all this into some type of congruent line of information. So like I said, I don't mind being wrong. I'm no expert on none of this stuff. So you guys know what I don't know. I'm okay with that. Samoa and Guam popped up out of the ocean. The Ring of Fire is in the Pacific. There it is. Which is the largest ocean, right? Volcanoes are not connected. Oh, okay. About to say they're not? Yeah, but you're correct. All volcanoes are. Well, there is a 400-mile river of lava that connects them. So, yes, they're all connected. At Tone 202, they have more. We have better command. We have better compared to China and Russia. I wish I knew what I was talking about during the time you left this comment. But our technology is better than China and Russia's. It would be a restart with South Africa and Africa, 100%. And they got all those resources there. I think the U.S. You think the U.S. does what? Our tanks are the only good thing we have left. Okay, the Abrams, not the Abrams. Okay, fuel is the problem with the Abrams. All right. Let's see, Germany, South Korea, 2 Abrams. Okay. I knew it was one of the Asian countries that was up there. I knew it was in between the 3 when it comes to the best tanks that are out there. Yeah. I knew it was in between the 3. But the technology is changing all the time technology is changing all the time, especially when it comes to tanks. And of course, we're looking at close quarter combat when that happens. Could I see, German tanks rolling through America at some point? Yeah, if we drop the ball, or not German tanks, but Russian tanks, or tanks from China, especially China. Look, there was even a movie about that. What was it called? Red Dawn. Red Dawn was about, with Patrick Swayze in it. That was about the Russians coming and taking over America. Red Dawn 2 was about China coming and taking over. Go look at those movies. When I looked at Red Dawn, I was like, highly possible. 100%. 100% highly possible. If you can defeat our Navy, which is, yeah, you would have to, now with some of the technology they got out, you can take out a couple aircraft carriers, but we have more aircraft carriers than anyone. And I almost think we have more subs than anyone, but we don't have the biggest sub that there is, even though that's not going to matter. The biggest sub is actually a Russian sub. They have the biggest one out there. It's built different than anything, too. This thing is incredibly, I think it's called I think it's a Typhoon class submarine. And this thing is incredible. And it's so big, they have a swimming pool in it. It is just ridiculous how big. And the thing about it is they have 3 more. 2 of them are sitting in shipyards. But they're so expensive that they're just like, you know what, just hold off on these 2 and let them sit. But they got them. They got them. Pacific is the largest and still growing. Yeah, and now they found out that there's a large body of water up under those too. Abrams is 6 miles. Oh my God! 6 miles to the gap. See, when I was on Fort Riley had 44 signal. And when they went to war, all you saw was all these tanks being rolled out because 44 SIG is a tank unit. So that's when you see the M1s. That's the closest I got to them. Just watch them go down the street. You see a bunch of M1s. But they emptied 44 signal and took them all to Iraq. You know what kind of statistics and logistics you have to empty out a whole fort? Fort Riley is the 3rd largest fort in America. When I tell you that there was a skeleton crew left on Fort Riley, it's one of the most amazing things I ever saw in my life. I was like, where did all the people go? The 44 SIG sits up on a hill. It looks like projects. Their barracks looks like projects. When you going up Fort Riley up on top of the hill, all you see is barracks after barracks after barracks, barracks and barracks. It looks like, seriously, it looks like Caprini Green on crack. And you see all of those people belong to tank units. And if you keep going, and you decide to veer off, you're going to come to some signs that says, live fire being done here. Don't go past this area. If you go past there, you can run into, you can get hit by a tank round. But that's one of the reasons why it's one of the biggest forts is because of the hundreds and hundreds of acres they use to fire off those weapons. Abrams beats all other tanks head to head if they run out of gas. If they don't run out of gas. I'm not going to call you on that. Okay, I'll take that. I believe it because I know this thing, they do like, 60, 70 miles an hour. They're ridiculous. But you know what? But I do want to, just out of curiosity, I am going to look at best tanks. I just want to see what 10 best tanks, see what they have. running a commercial, got blow those. Sorry, there's a lot of those. I don't want to be. Oh, this customer didn't contact me. I missed out on the sale. That would suck. No, they didn't. Stood me up. It's all good though. Okay. All right. So built on. This is a list built on firepower, projection, accuracy, mobility. But none of the tanks that are listed here are seen combat. Military operations yet, or even something such as, yeah. So these are all mock war tanks. But the reason why that is because they're all newer. They all have these new advanced systems on them that can do all kind of stuff. And it wouldn't surprise me if some of them can be unmanned. Firing accuracy, capability of their fire control system, and okay, so yeah. So there's just a lot to compare a tank with. You know, some tanks are, you know, specialty tanks like uh, uh, some, especially when it comes over there in like in desert areas, like some of the stuff we got don't work too good over there. So I wanted to say that too. So let's see if we can get the number. Improve technology and cost efficient. That's another thing, cost efficient. Onboard communication. Text. All right, let's see if we can get it for fire and control. The T-90 was equipped in the 1990s. See if they're running now when the tank was introduced. They're not doing this like a later model. Okay, with Russia, approximately. Okay, all right, they're not doing this list like I thought they would. They're just they're not doing it like 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me find. But they're giving you detailed information on it. So 4th generation tanks. So we're gonna look at 4th generation tanks. I can't read any of your comments right now because I'm on the screen, so if you're saying something, I'm sorry. I'm looking, trying to get this list here because I'm curious about it. All right, commander, gunner, driver. Yeah, they're not doing it as a list. Number 4. Okay. Boom. They are doing it, this one as a list. Okay, so number 5 is a interesting. Number 5 is Minister of Defense is a Turkish. I've never seen nothing like this before. I don't even know how to say the word. Okay. So, yeah. Operating range 500 kilometers, speed 70 miles an hour. Its main cannon, 120 millimeter guns. That's a big gun. Has machine guns, commander loader. Okay, so that is number 4. I don't know what the name of it is. Excuse me, that was number 5. Number 4 is a made by Mitsubishi. 6.5 million. They're giving you a bunch of other information. Engine capacity, speed. And the speed is different too. Okay, I'm going to do it like this. Top 5 tanks in 2021. You know, YouTube gets you a bunch of other. Okay. So here's a top 8. Currently, the top best tanks in the world. Number 8 is the NR, is the one from France. Number 7 is a Type 90 from Japan. Number 6 is the Makarova from Israel. Number 5 is the Armada from Russia. Number 4 is the Challenger from the UK. Number 3 is the M1A2, which is the US. Number 2 is the K2 Black Panther, South Korea. And number 1 is the Leopard 2A7 from Germany. So we were both kind of all in the same area, but the USA does not have the number 1. Korea and Germany. So Korea with the Black Panther and Germany has the number 1. And back to your comments. So there that is the Abrams 3. Yes. Yeah. So there are all of your top tanks in the world. Probably based on technology. Weight, speed. Well, not so much. Well, sometimes weight too. Well, weight is often considered because of what it costs to transport them, and most of all, how much armor they have. So usually, if you have a tank that's, extraordinarily heavy compared to other tanks, it's usually because that joker can take a round right to the face. One thing I do know about tanks is where the turret is not as armored as where the rest of the body is. So there's that. Like I said, some tanks can go up underwater. They have since World War II. When Stalin and Hitler were going at it, they did deploy tanks that actually went up underwater. And of course, a lot of people lost their lives by trying to roll their tanks up underwater. But some of them were actually somewhat amphibious for a short time. Also, the range and the caliber of the gun, how fast you can reload the gun. I think 120 millimeter is, I think, almost a standard. Of course, you're going to have some that are bigger. You have your speed, which is in between 60 to 80 miles an hour. When it comes to tanks, of course, the lighter ones are going to be able to move a lot faster than the heavier ones. But if you get hit by a heavy tank and you are a light armored tank, you can, cancel Christmas. So there's that. But now it's all about the technology and being able to sit back and blast somebody from a distance. Are the only tanks proven? No, that's not true. You're talking about their modern tanks? You're talking about their latest? You're talking about within the last 5 to 10 years? That's that's not true. You have to break that down. Oh, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Their effectiveness according to uh, weight, fuel, and range. Okay. Have you ever seen the YouTube videos of like Japan and I think yeah Japan and their displays and their mock wars with their tanks? Just watch it and just be amazed. Yeah, hey, like Japan and China, just look how they do things. It's just like I don't want to fight you guys just off of the sheer fact that you're so much in unison. Like they'll roll their tanks at a certain speed and like do a whole salute, and the tank will keep going this way, and they'll take the turret up and fire, and there'll be like 10 of them will do it at the same time, and keep like. Another thing about I think it's Japan is they actually have mechs. They have mechs now. You know those things that you've seen at Robotech, which I used to watch. When I watched Robotech, I used to look at it and go, that is highly possible. I don't know about building an FDS-1 or an FDS-2, but according to basic hydraulic knowledge, yeah, I could see it happening. But when I saw just a cartoon of those, I was going, that's possible. You can do that. Yeah, you remember Robotech and when they used to fight against the Invid, Meme with her goofy behind, her and Rick. I used to look at those airplanes and go, that is highly possible. Especially when they transferred in the sky and where the engines went. I'm like, and I'm gonna tell you, and then I'm gonna tell you something else. When I look at Elon Musk, especially the way he made his reusable rockets work, when you look at the landing on those rockets, and then you start thinking about Robotech, and listen, 10 years maybe, you're gonna see planes do this. There's just no doubt in my mind. No doubt. No doubt. Elon, like this, like he's already the richest man. His money's gonna go through the roof if he signs any military contract. If they're like, we want you to make it, and the thing about this guy is he talked about making airplanes. If somebody convinces him to make a military airplane, like I think Elon Musk is dumbing. This just hurts me to say. I think he's dumbing down his intelligence because he's afraid of what warmongers would do if he really showed what he knew. As a matter of fact, I know that's what he's doing. When you listen to him smoking weed and talking to Joe Rogan, Elon Musk actually knows how to make this world even more devastating. But he decided to concentrate on making the world better. It's just fast. That dude is fascinating, but he has the knowledge on making devastating war. He's just like, I'm not going to do it. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk is a South American, and they wanted him to join the military, and he said, nope, I'm out of here. He said, I don't want to spend time learning how to oppress Black people. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm out of here. But when you look at his development on what he's doing, if that dude decided to make a military plane If he decided he wanted to kill everyone, he could do it. The U.S. tanks have actually been shot at, for real. Well, this is true. Yeah, I'm telling you, Elon Musk can build. Listen. The Japanese have mechs. No, the Chinese. Excuse me. The Chinese have built a giant mech. This thing is like 5 stories high, and it's a Robotech mech. I didn't know that. Well, look who they were fighting. They were fighting in the Middle East. Look at the Abrams compared to what they were fighting against. I mean, it's a feat in itself, but let's look and see who they were fighting. They were fighting against, people who were starving, literally. They actually gave up. They were getting shelled from a warship that was sitting 30 miles off of the coast. And they would fly a drone over their head, and the people would surrender to the drone and get out their tanks and be like, oh, you see them on video. They have a whole video of it because they knew they were getting ready to get shelled. Like, it was. When's the last time an Abrams met up with? Yeah, he's South African. Did I get that wrong? I said South African, right? Yeah, he's South African. But he didn't want to spend time in the military oppressing black people. Could you imagine if his mind was totally different and he decided, you know what? I want to be a 5-star general in the Army. And I want to work at nothing but R&D. Just imagine if he wanted to be a greedy megalomaniac. I want to kill more people than Mao Zedong, who's killed more people than anyone on the planet. Has he? I think the Khan might be up there with him, but Mao Zedong, I think he's killed more people than anybody on the planet. Like, Elon Musk is actually playing stupid. Japanese. I was correct the first time. The Japanese, okay. Elon Musk is actually playing stupid. And I know he is. If I ever met him, I'd be like, I know you're playing dumb. He'd be like, what are you talking about? I know you're smarter than what you're telling us. And the only reason why you're not revealing how smart you are is because of the way they did Nikola Tesla. You read his bio. You know what happened between Tesla and Edison. They made him look like a goofy, and he died with no credibility. While Edison got with the banks, and now everybody pays for this, which is actually natural. We pay for this, but this is a natural resource. We pay for it. There was a guy who illustrated, I said South America. No, I meant South Africa. My bad. I've been talking for 2 hours, though, Russia was shooting at? Oh, with Russian weapons. Yeah, I believe that. But this is natural. Light is natural. This energy source here is made from 2 different currents. There's a natural way to make this, and there's a false way to make this. We pay for the false way to make this. Nikola Tesla showed us the natural way to actually make electricity. And he was like, the whole world is surrounded by this current. And all he did was capture this current. And when they saw this, they were just like, oh no. No, JP was like, nope, we're not doing that. We're going to make people pay for it. Wait a minute. Okay, okay. Wait a minute. So you're telling? Well, wait a minute. Russia sells weapons to anybody. We all know this. Hell, we probably have Russian weapons. But you're saying that the Abrams was being shot at by Russian tanks during the Gulf, during Desert Storm? One of you wizards clarify that for me, because that's when I was in. Well, yeah, because they don't manufacture Russian tanks. But you know what? Let's do it because yeah. Hold on for a second. What was that? Iraq, right? Was that Iraq or Iran? It's Iran, right? Uh, Damn it! You guys are making me work. All right. So the M1 51A2 FAV fast attack vehicle and the Kowalski KLR 250, which is the M3 5A2. Okay. But, okay, so here's my argument. Here's my argument. Okay, here's my argument to that. Here's my argument, my limited knowledge to that. The weapons that Iraq was using against the Abrams that we had were not even comparable. For one, they were smaller. So even their weaponry was smaller. Their tank size itself was smaller, which makes me think that the tanks that Saddam Hussein bought from Russia was not the best tank that they had. Yeah, I don't think it was the best tank that they had. I don't think Saddam Hussein bought the best tanks he could. I think he got a bargain for the best tanks that he could afford. I don't think that if Russia was fighting against us, we would have saw the same tank units. I don't believe that at all. Yeah, there was no match. When we went over there, when 44 SIG went over there and landed, they kicked ass. And it was no match. Yeah, they destroyed a couple of our tanks, but I mean it's war. But when it comes to an all-out match, it was no match because we weren't fighting against superior weaponry. We weren't even fighting against the superior humans. These guys were only superior when it comes to fighting each other. Oh, well, let's get busy. Let's get busy. Okay, the T-71 was an airborne light tank. Was part of 1952 plan the U.S. to replace the M1 Walker Bulldog in service. It was equipped with a primary oscillating turret. It was similar to the AMX-13 and the T9 light tanks. Like I said, okay, so the T-71 is a light tank, right? This is, like I said, I knew that their equipment was inferior to ours, because if they're using light tanks up against the tanks that we had back in that I seen roll out, those were not light tanks that I seen roll out. All right. So their tanks were a lot smaller, a lot lighter than ours. And that's what was illustrated. This is why they got slaughtered. Yeah, because our tanks were thicker, they were heavier. There's no way. Yeah, they had a hard time getting past our armor. Russia has the numbers, and we have the better technological system. At the time of Desert Storm, the M1 wasn't proven in. I thought the M1 was the best tank in the world at the time of proven in that environment. Oh, in that environment. So we didn't know. Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, in that environment. Well, like I said before earlier, the sand in that environment over there does things to our equipment. I'm not even considering the Iraq. I'm talking about Afghanistan. Pretty much the same place, but just different times. So yeah, it was. Yeah, you're talking about Bush Jr., which the ones who sent, you know, my homie to war. And that's the war that I tried to get into. Thank God I didn't. But yeah, so they were using light tanks. That T-71 was a light tanks going against that M1. That's not even close to be. I mean, you're shooting. Yeah. Okay, so I'm hungry. So you're saying Russia equipped. The Warthog was a okay. Going back to you, Nabi, because I'm learning here. Okay, so Russia equipped Iraq with the T-71. Here's what I'm saying. The T-90, the T-80, and the T-34. Here's what I'm saying. Yeah, it came out of the Ukraine. The T-90 came out of Ukraine. That also came out of Ukraine. T-80. And the T-34 is looks like an American. T-34 is has an American version. I'm gonna start with this T-90. Versus the Abrams A1, because that's what we had. range and speed, the T-90 can be one of the main battle tanks and has the longest operational range, 650 km, much more than the M1A2 Abrams, which is only 426, so almost twice it. The T-90 speed is a little bit better than the... Okay. It's faster than us. It's, you were saying? Oh, wait a minute, still over. Well, it's not faster than us. Wait a minute. Okay, so its range is further than us. Speed is, okay, it's a little bit better than the M1. The Abrams on-road speed is 56K. Off-road, it's 40. While the T-90 is 65K. And off-road is 45. The main armament, the M82 is the M20. Okay, the M1A2 is the M2 56A1 120, which is standard. Smoothbore gun. 42 rounds. The M2 56A1 rate of fire depends on the loader, of course. The effective range is 4,000 Ms. The secondary armament is machine gun, yada, yada, yada. Heavy machine guns, yada, yada, yada. The main armament of the T-90 is the TA-46 125, so it's bigger. 43 rounds, depends on who's loading it. The range is also better. It's 5,000 M. The 2A46 is an autoloader gun. But what do we know about autoloader guns? Any autoloader gun, what do we know about them? You guys already know what I'm going to say. And this was a problem. So it can shoot 8 rounds a minute. Woo! The secondary armament is the same, is a 12.7 millimeter gun. The T-90 overpowers the M2 Abrams in speed, range, and armor. Okay, but the M82 has a better engine. Well, in the armament can be, wait a minute. In the armament can be draw. I don't know what that means. Because the T-90A main gun is autoloader and has a long range effectiveness. Oh, okay. It has a long range effectiveness, a longer range effectiveness than the M1A2 Abrams. But the M1A2 Abrams secondary weapons can carry a lot more than the T-90A. Well, that's a battle right there. I mean, you outrange us, you know, when it comes to speed. You outrange us to how long you can stay on the field before you run out of gas. You have an autoloader that's 8 rounds a minute. We just have a better engine than you do. And I think it says that he had better armor too. I'm surprised. Well, then again, I'm not. Some stats for you on the T-90. However, we all know well, yeah, Iraq is an ally of Russia. Yeah. 35 miles an hour. Okay, there you go. The Republican Guard had the Russian tank. The Ukraine was Russians when they fought Iraq. The issue that the Abrams just destroyed all of their tanks easily in battle. but in Battle of Russia, tanks got destroyed. More accurate targeting system as well. However, they jam. Any auto-loaded gun jams. And they had, and those guns used to jam. And that's a problem. That's a problem. Any auto-loaded gun jams, even today. You get your well, any auto-loaded gun has the potential to jam. And I was reading about tanks before, and they were talking about how the autoloaders would jam on them. This is why they would like when, they fail. They'll jam on you. And this is why they would like with just regular humans would load them up because they wouldn't jam on them. But still, just to have an autoloader, you're just sitting there going, fuck, ooh, that's scary. Then again, they talked about, the efficiency of a tank is who's actually driving the damn thing. And let's just face it, when it comes to technology, America just sits on top. We just sit on top. We just sit on top when it comes to just technology. Nobody's better than the Americans. And part of that is because of India. India has some of the smartest people on the planet. The number one mathematician, I think, comes from India. And America also, a bunch of bullies. They'll cut your green card off in a minute. They'll cut your visa off in a minute. We know this. They'll threaten any country with a visa. They've done it to India. They've done it to Nigerians. They'll tell you in a minute, we'll cut your visa off. And you'll starve. You won't be able to trade with anybody. They'll blockade you in a heartbeat. And this is why America sits on top, is because they get all of these smart people and put them in these think tanks and, figure out all this technology. And then they go beat everybody's ass and, say, hey, we'll just run you over. We'll put a disease right here. We'll kill off millions of you if you don't do what we want. That's just the way this is going to go. This is an empire. I did talk about him. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't know you wanted me to cover that, but I will cover that for you, my brother. I have no issue with that. Okay. So, what do you want to know? You want to know I was looking, that I just did was just on the T90. It wasn't on the 34 or the T80. Now, you want me to go into detail, y'all going to have to let me get a sandwich here real quick and, all right? Yeah, but pick a tank and we'll look over the comparison and the ammunition. But one reason why I didn't mention the ammunition because it wasn't in the script that was given me. So this was just a overlook on the comparison of the T90 and the M1. It didn't say what they were shooting. It just said how big the turrets were and, other stuff. It didn't even get down to the computer technology that they were using. That information is also readily available, but that's really, really getting into the ground, into the roots of the tank itself. They didn't say how many members, how many people there had to be to operate it, and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of details you can get into. But you tell me what you want to know, and I'm gonna grab a turkey sandwich. Yeah, but okay. All right, so let me do this. All right, the T90 is a third generation Russian main tank. It's not even the latest one. The T-72BU was officially accepted. Blah blah blah. So 125 millimeters, so it's a bigger. 42 round T90. We already know that. Steel composite reactive blend. That's the armor. The engine is a V8 4MS 12 cylinder diesel. We already know the operating range, which is 550K to 340K, depends on where you're at. But what it didn't, okay, what rounds did the team do? The rounds that they use, it it doesn't say. It's a crew of 3. They didn't get into the suspension, the height. Doesn't say. Coaxial machine gun, armament, steel composite reaction blend, technology, the PKM2 6.62 millimeter coaxial machine gun, shows the weight of it, the ammunition, 200. Okay, that's just the weight of the machine gun. Doesn't say, you guys. The smooth bore gun with 43 rounds, the T90, the T8 4 6 millimeter dash 2 125 millimeter smooth bore with 42 rounds. So there's 2 different ones. Smooth bore with 43 rounds, heavy machine gun. It doesn't say uh, um, what bullets they were used. Um, doesn't say. Doesn't say what bullets that were used. So yeah, I don't know where you want me to go from there. But as for the T90, it doesn't say what the bullets were made out of. I mean, there is some illustration on the rounds themselves, but it doesn't say whether it was, I don't know, whatever you put out there, Texas Marine, depleted uranium rounds. So let me do this. Wonder what they're using now. Okay, heat rounds that can be fired from, so from the TA 4.6mm gun includes the 3BK 21B with a depleted uranium linear 3BK29 with a credited penetration of 800 millimeters, the RHA equivalent. But that's talking about the machine gun. The 100, okay, ammunition. The following is a list of ammunition fired from a 125 millimeter smoothbore gun series used in the T90, 80, 84, or excuse me, M84, T90, the PT91, and the T14 Armada. The following is a list of ammunition gun series used in, okay, and other tanks derived from those designs, as well as the Sprott anti-tank gun. Did I say that right? Sprute. Okay, well, here's a list of, and the list goes on. It's about 9 of them, but they're broken up in, no, there's not. Okay, there's more than 9 here. And let me click on one of them. The armor piercing fin established, discarded. Was the tracer round. T round typically used against other modern tanks. Okay, Soviet Union, projectile, wow, it really gets in the weeds. This projectile weight, muzzle velocity, muzzle energy. So, I mean, there's a lot of information on just this one. If you just, I mean, on each one, if you want to look it up. But the acronym is the APF SDS-T, and then there's different variants of it. And the variants start with the 3VBM3-3BM9 /10, and then it goes with the same acronym, goes to 13, 16, 18, 23, 30, 27, 33, 42, 42M, 46, 59, 60, and 69, 70, and those of have variants to each one of those, like Mango, like Lacalo, and Vacuum 1, Vacuum 2, and then there's the heat rounds that start off with the same acronyms almost, but it's the 3VBKS /3BK12, and then there's different variations of those. There's a 12, the 14, the 14M, the 18, 18M, the 21B, the 25, 29, and 29M. I mean, there's a whole cadre of weaponry that you could use on these tanks, depending on situations. So if you want to use heat rounds, uranium rounds, and all this other kind of stuff, but there's a whole list of them that I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me read off, even though it is fascinating. We are the only ones that use depleted uranium. Americans, I used to have first air duty on the FT Fort Hood tank range. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, and I'm sure it goes into what they. I mean, it got into the muzzle flash and the energy output, and I'm assuming it probably got into the yield as well. What is the explosion yield? All that stuff is just. Let's just say I'm glad I don't make explosives, because I'd be blowing everything up. Like, I'm glad I'm not as smart as Elon Musk. Because if I was, all the anger that I got up in here, there'd be some dead people. I'm just going to say it. There'd be some dead folk, because I know what I would have done. I would have took my ass right over there to Africa, and I would have settled somewhere. I would have hid out. I would have been hiding out and building. About the time you heard of me, I would have already had so many ways to defend myself, my family, and the country. About the time you got a whiff of what I was doing, hell, I would have already had an aircraft carrier that actually goes in the sky. I would have had a helicarrier. Of course, it floats on the water and goes up underwater. I would have had some stuff. I would have had some stuff. I would have had an underwater carrier in a heartbeat. I would have had a whole underwater city that moves. You ever watch Game of Thrones? You ever watch Game of Thrones? In Game of Thrones, like, I love Game of Thrones lore, so I'll listen to the lore and then watch Game of Thrones, because it tells you more about what's going on. There were certain battles that took place, and there were certain castles that never were captured. Meaning there were people trying to get into the castle, and they were never captured. But there was only one castle that was never even found, even though they knew it was there. And the reason why it was never found is because it moved. It moved. And that was just that. You never find it. Even when you think you had it, once you came into the swampland, you came looking for it, you never found it. It was never invaded. It was never found. It was never bombarded. Nothing. Because they never saw it. But they knew that it was there. Oh, I do. You're not going to find me. I'll be on some whole other stuff. If I had the type of intelligence that dude got, I'm telling you, he's playing stupid. He's concentrating on things that are nonviolent. And he's trying his best. Elon Musk is trying his best not to go anywhere near anything that can cause violence to somebody else on a global scale. Even though he could. The man built a reusable rocket. And he constantly talks about staying away from AI. You would think somebody who built a reusable rocket would be highly dependent on AI. He actually went to governments and said, y'all need to stop what you're doing. He said, leave AI alone. Stop it. Wait a minute. You're the guy who has cars that drive by themselves. He said, I'm telling you now, leave it alone. Cut it out. And just imagine somebody who, okay, like you get people who live in certain countries, say they live in a rainforest. You have people who live in the rainforest right now. And you got people who come and tour. They like, we want to know what it's like to live in the rainforest. And they're like, yeah, I wouldn't do this if I were you. If I were you, I wouldn't go into that part of the rainforest. And I wouldn't stand there too long. But some people, they just like, I'll be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. But the people who live there are going, this is something we should not do. And they do it anyway. And then what happens to them? If they make it out of there, they're going, we should have never done that. But usually they don't make it out of there. And then when they're found, the people who already knew, they found out the hard way, are going, we told you not to do this. The people who come out of there, very few who might just barely make it out, are riddled with diseases and bugs that they just didn't know existed. You get bitten by botflies and you don't even know what's happening to you until the larvae start popping out of your skin and eating you. Not to mention the creatures that live in there. The largest spider on the planet has just been trumped. The largest spider on the planet was a black bird eater. It was the size, they're known to be the size of a dinner plate. This is a spider. A black bird eater. A thing that jumps out of trees and catches birds in midair. This is how big a black bird eater is. This is its span. They just found a spider bigger than that. Here's the thing. Some people were in the forest. There was a couple in the forest. They saw a spider come out into the open and cross the road, and it was 5 feet. And it went right into the woods. I never saw it again. 5 feet long. A spider. Just drink that in. That's something straight off of Harry Potter. 5 feet. That means from my neck down is the size of an arachnid. No, sir. I believe they get bigger than that. I believe that spiders get as big as the environment allows them to. We know that certain reptiles don't stop growing. One of them is the anaconda. Snakes, they don't stop growing in size. Another one is alligators. Largest alligator in captivity was almost 30 feet. Back in World War II, Japan soldiers were told to give up, but they refused. I think it was the British who had them surrounded. So they retreated into the swamplands during the night. And there were thousands of them who retreated in there. There was only 400 of them who came out. And the British soldiers said we could hear them screaming. They were just sitting on their ships. They could hear them screaming in a swampland. Why? Because there were 20-foot alligators who were eating the Japan soldiers. We're talking about armed military soldiers went into a swamp that did not want to surrender, went into a swamp area that was riddled with 20-foot alligators. And they were eating these people. Like these guys weren't and winning. They were eating the armed soldiers. Well-trained soldiers with ammunition. Nah, bro. Nah. 20 feet long. 20 feet. Nah. That's ridiculous. And there were so many of them that these soldiers, thousands of soldiers, couldn't beat them. Like, how many of these damn things were there? Not to mention we can't see at night. You know, so they had the advantage, but still, I'm sure these guys had the ability to see themselves getting how many crocodiles or alligators were there? Weren't crocodiles. Well, they were crocodiles. I don't know. Alligators, crocodiles, it doesn't matter to me. It's like, get out of here. It's not like they were caiman crocs like these little small crocs. They were 20 feet. 20 feet long. Nah, bro. Nah, I'm good. They don't stop growing. Think about that. We're not doing that. I would have surrendered. I came running out of there like, yo, can I get a ride? Hey, I surrendered. Here's my gun, whatever. Get a ride from the bro. Right here. Whoop, whoop. Let me get on that boat. Because those guys just got eaten. Yeah. So, anyways, somebody's trolling me. But yeah. So stay out of the white man's war if you can. Thanks for stopping by. Reluctant Nabi. Appreciate your information. Everybody else who stopped by. Yeah, that's it. Peace.